our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Christmas edition of Legally Speaking on Planet 101.1 FM and Spectrum TV on Star Times at Free to Air TVs. My name is Anthony Ebuk, and I have with me in the studio Etini Bassi. Etini Bassi is a lawyer, a law partners and associate too. Etini, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, like I said earlier, it's a Christmas edition, so we're going to have something special. We open the phone lines from the beginning of the program till the end, so you can call in, ask questions, have a conversation with us, assess us, encourage us, discourage us or some things. That's how the show will run for the day. The numbers to call will be 090-222-31011. I repeat that number, 090-222-31011. I will repeat the numbers again as we proceed in the show. So for today, I think it's a better day, a good day to express or explain what we call in law Father Christmas, right? Very often you hear the court quotes that the court is not a Father Christmas. In awarding claims, right? In awarding claims, you hear the court say the court is not a Father Christmas, and people will wonder, what does the court usually mean by that? What did you perceive when you first heard or read a judgment and where the court said the court is not a Father Christmas?
Well, it sounds laughable because Father Christmas, as we all know, it's someone that at the end of the year brings gifts to children, most especially children, sits with the children, takes photos and all of that. And then it's being likened to the court, that the court is not a Father Christmas. Fine, the court gives. Yes, on instances, the court gives. But what the court gives is based on what is asked by the litigants. The court not being a Father Christmas means that you cannot give what wasn't asked for. You cannot grant what wasn't asked for. You cannot do what you were not asked to do. So you are basically just to work on what is before. The court basically works on what is before it and not what is not before it. So that is basically what it means.
Okay, so a lot of people here could have that same idea, that Father Christmas means somebody that is generous and so on. Yeah, I think that's one principle that the court tries to uphold, principle of justification. If you ask the court to give you 100 million, you need to justify why the court should give you 100 million, whether or not you are successful in your claims, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, beyond that too, the court observes what is called the gold-digging principles. Mm-hmm. Somebody comes in and brings a very frivolous claim, and in the end expects an award, whether or not it's successful, that's the court upholds it. The other part will be where a party does not ask for certain claims, and the court sits back and feels this party ought to have asked for this. The case is maybe sympathetic and deserving of so and so awards, and then goes ahead to grant those awards. The appellate courts, especially the Supreme Court, frowns at such benevolence by the court and tries to dissuade the court from doing that. The party comes to court and asks for 100,000 naira as his claim. And in pronouncing the judgment, the court goes ahead to award 100 million or 40 million. Where are you situating those claims? The claims ought to be situated on the pleadings of parties. So where a party has, for instance, a prayer before the court, and the prayer is not increased to the amount at which the court expects it, the party must, if it needs to, amend these claims to include what the court wishes to grant. Other than that, the court is bound by the pleadings of parties to award just what the party asks for. Now, it brings me to a question of a recent judgment of the High Court within the year, where the court awarded 10 million against, for two parties against a claimant. I mean, it was a fundamental right matter. And it raised a very novel question of law. Can the court award such humongous amount of money against a claimant or an applicant in a fundamental right matter? Okay? Is it right for the court to have awarded against him rather than dismiss the suit, went ahead and awarded such amount of money against him to pay the two respondents to the matter? Well, that was, to me, that was one of the Father Christmas gestures.
To me, I would think if it was frivolous, it wasn't supposed to be before the courts, then why not?
No, not necessarily frivolous, okay? What I'm considering is this. The court awards. Your claims have failed. And consequently, I have dismissed it. And a further consequence, I award against you the sum of this and that for bringing this claim against these parties. The parties didn't ask for this. The court awarded. Does that make that court a Father Christmas?
There is one other, I don't know how to put it, there's one other line. I think the last, when you're asking for, when you're praying the courts for an order, yes, and for such orders as the court might deem fit.
Granted,
yes.
Granted, but don't forget, the court said the principle is to avoid gold digging. So where a party who didn't ask has been given that much. It's different when the court is awarding cost of 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 for frustrating the wheels of justice or anything, abuse of the court process. But in this case, it wasn't an abuse of the court process. It just said that from what we have seen outside the court process, there has been a struggle for a property, and they are entitled to pay them.
But it was a fundamental right matter.
It was a fundamental right matter. Anyway, so that's much as we would take on Father Christmas issues. All right, like I said earlier on, the phone lines are open. So we were expecting you to call in from now to the end of the show. We are dealing with everything we have done in the year 2023. We're rounding up 2023. I think we have this but one edition of Legally Speaking in the year 2023. So I started calling out the number 090-222-31011. Repeat that number again, 090-222-31011. The alternative number to call will be 070-454-17707. I repeat that alternative number, 070-454-17707. All right, Tini, let's look around again. What has been the high points of this year to you?
So many high points since the beginning of the year. At first, we had the issue of Naira scarcity due to the change in the currency that we had. Yes, that was the first highlight of the year.
Okay.
Yes. So there was a cash crunch.
Yeah, there was this legal question of whether or not the CBN governor can suo motu change the currency without having reference to the Senate and the National Assembly,
Yes.
or even the Executive Council, National Executive, Federal Executive Council. I think we resolved it by saying that the CBN Act gives the Senate, the President and the CBN Governor that authority to operate within that sphere without recourse to the central bank. Yeah, whereas there was a lot of insinuations on the political motive of changing the currency, and if the Supreme Court stepped in a funny manner and assumed jurisdiction to extend the use of the old naira till December. Some of us would have queried the way the Supreme Court acted, because it almost looked like the Supreme Court was ultra vires its powers. But it appeared in the best interest of the whole Nigerians that illegality could have been condoned, okay? Because the way the matter came to court, the people that took the matter to court, and the fact that the court sat assumed jurisdiction when there were objections, that saved Nigeria somehow. Remember that time?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Because one would have thought maybe the proper parties ought to have been the federal government and the CBN governor or something.
It served its purpose at that time.
And I think that that Supreme Court judgment has been amended,
Yes,
to allow the old naira notes continue after December, because there was this cash crunch. There was so much paucity of cash. Everybody was worried. What's going on? Where's Nigeria headed? You have money in the bank. You can't take your money out. And people were fighting in the bank. Some people would strip naked in the bank and scream madness.
They're setting fires.
People were burning down banks because there was no money in those banks. And you know that biblical principle of the fig tree. This is a bank. Why is there no money in the bank? Why are you standing here? Burn you down to the root like the fig tree, because you ought to have had seed. So I think just shortly after that came in the election petitions.
Yes.
There was so much about election petitions this year, and so much questions to answer. Yeah, can you recall some of them?
Yes, one of them was the 25%, this thing, 25% in the FCT.
Yeah.
Yes, and the other states.
Yeah, that day you must win 25%.
Yes, you must win 25%.
In a federal capital territory.
Yes.
And some legal minds had resolved the issue. They looked at the Constitution and said, well, whereas the Constitution has, or the Constitution has made mention of the FCT with the word and the Electoral Act had also made reference to that. That and did not be exclusive. It's conjunctive as one of the states.
Yes.
Several decisions of the court had said that. But people mischievously slandered with it and made it appear like the law is here, that you must win FCT.
Yeah, they dwelt on technicalities.
No, that wasn't even a technicality. That was a very straight dubiosity.
I would say it was straight. Because the court generally gives interpretation.
But there was an existing interpretation of that document. That document, that court of Supreme Court, or the Constitution, had been interpreted severally. And in fact, the interpretation section of the Supreme Court of the Constitution said clearly that any reference to the FCT in this document is as reference to a state. So it's not expected to be a standalone. The reason they call it, they make reference to it separately is because of the way it is structured. Structured with the minister instead of the governor, structured with the governed by the National Assembly instead of the State House of Assembly, but that is still a state. That's why they mention it from time to time. 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Then when they say it now, we made it an exclusive pronouncement to say, okay, 30 states, and so you have to win here, but without losing here. That was it was a very good word. And I'm happy that the National Assembly or the Supreme Court, the Election Petition Court, and the Supreme Court, yes, were able to dissect and give clarity to it. And I think we've had some semblance of it. So, like I said earlier, we've opened the phone lines. We're still expecting calls. The numbers to call 9090-222-31011. Alternative number 070-454-17707. We're having a review of the activities of 2023 on Legally Speaking. Every major talking point that really captured the essence of litigation, especially litigation, and the law in Nigeria. And we have looked at the issue of the interference of the Supreme Court on the currency redesign in Nigeria, at the Central Bank of Nigeria. We are also looking at the election petitions and the high points. One of them was the 25%, as Tini had said, 25% of the FCT having to win 25%. So we agree with the Supreme Court. That position had been there for a long time. Everybody knew that was a law, but we had some very stubborn political enthusiasts who would have preferred the law to be reviewed to mean you must win Abuja, right? So I think something else came up, issues of certificate candor.
Yes.
Wow, that was a hot one. It was so, the atmosphere was so hot, emotionally charged. Nigerians were just up in arms, people calling you from diaspora and sounding as though if they don't decide this, without even understanding the meaning of the word 4G in line with the law. Okay, they said the result of the president now, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was brought to the front burner. Yes, he didn't go to school, he has a forged certificate. Eventually there was pictures and evidence of going to school. They said, okay, went to school, he didn't graduate. There was evidence of graduation. He said, okay, but not that particular certificate that he was given. And you know, Nigerians have a way of making things look very
believable.
Papers were flying left, right, and center, stories, investigation reports, and the issue of, what was that other one?
Okay, the criminal...
Yes, the criminal aspect of it, that he had been
he had been convicted of a criminal charge that time.
Wow. That was an interesting one. And you know, in the face of this, some lawyers were very cool. Some legal experts had settled their minds on this is how the court ought to look at it.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to Legally Speaking. Yes, can we know your name and where you are calling from?
Step away from radio.
Please, can you step away from your radio or off the radio whilst you are talking with us so we can hear you properly?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I still hear myself on the radio from where you are speaking.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No, I'm hearing you well. Go on.
Okay, I'm Saidu.
Okay.
Saidu from where?
Bida in Niger.
Bida in Niger State. Go on, sir.
Okay. What you said something in my... So, and I see us join the conversation. So I just want to confirm related to electoral.
Okay.
what I want us to, by their looking going on in judicial, people that put into judicial matters nowadays.
Your voice breaks from time to time, so we don't get to hear you totally.
Okay.
If
What
you,
I want to
okay.
today, the time judicial, know how they operate. I want to talk in relation to question because presidency is legal, and I want them to be anytime they want to see the final verdict.
Sorry, we don't get you. If you can call back off your device, whether it's a television or it's a TV, you can off the volume on your TV so that we hear you well. It's interfering with us here, so we don't get to hear you. Your voice halts back. Are you with us? Hello? All right, I think we have lost him. Yes. But I don't know if we can guess what he was trying to say.
Something about Kanu and judiciary.
He's talking about elections and the judiciary, and wanted to provide some advice. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm Saidu from Bida in Niger State.
Saidu, Bida, Niger State. Go on.
I say my problem, I have issues. What cases are going, if you are looking to the electoral tribunal down to appeal and down to Supreme Court, you'll be reason that some political actors, they are dabbling into some issues. Though it's not known to us, and I want to speak in relation to the Kano State election. Hello?
Yeah, we are listening to you.
So I'm begging Supreme Court justice, I'm begging them, and I'm begging the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nobody should interfere in Kano State election because Abba Kabir Yusuf won election and they should allow him to rule down to 2027. Any one of them that agrees, they should go and gear up against towards election. They should allow that man to rule. He's trying for his people.
Okay. All right.
Please, I just want to talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Saidu from Bida in Niger State. You see, that's one thing with Nigerians, the sentiments of performance or non-performance, and the appeal to the president to intervene or not intervene with matters that are before the court. I don't see that as his constitutional duty. A president cannot say, I want this person. You know, it's as though it's an inheritance from the colonial or the military era, where the president can decide what happens in a state. So if the president wants a particular person to be the governor of that state, he can take a phone and call the chief justice of Nigeria, and will encourage him to talk to his people. This is the man I want, and they will do his biddings. No, that's not how the stuff works.
I think it should be based on the evidence at the tribunal, if at all either of them succeeds or loses. It should be based on evidence before the tribunal. The president shouldn't even come in.
A lot of issues at the tribunal, the courts, don't bother on how people feel, the sentiments of the people, or the performance of the man. He comes in and everybody's happy with him. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Welcome to Legally Speaking Christmas edition.
I'm Saidu from Bida in Niger State.
Okay.
Seriously, I'm disturbed about how things are moving in this country, and I'm not comfortable with it. Hello?
Yeah, with you.
I'm still want to talk about that Kano State election. And after then, I'll talk about River State election, because we have been reading many things within our peace, and we have been looking towards many things in the television. So I'm disturbed. because I'm a concerned citizen. I'm disturbed about how things are moving. You'll be seeing how some of our leaders are too misbehaving. I want to talk particularly in that River State election that just happened last 2 weeks and last 2 weeks. You'll be seeing how can someone now FCT minister and you want to be double affair in the way you govern before. You didn't understand. To the extent that 27 lawmakers defected to APC. If you see how things are moving, now you say you are PDP, and technically you are supporting APC, and then the sitting governor, you don't allow me to run government the way it should be. Don't be in party A or party B. If you want to move down to APC, move down officially. Don't be here and be there. Such thing is not ideal and it's not supposed to happen in this 21st century. They should allow Fubara to govern River State. It's okay. I don't think that man did anything wrong. But all these problems, the way I'm reading it, is a wicked problem. This current FCT minister.
Okay.
And the look of things, the president is backing wicked. Technically, we should not deceive ourselves. And it's not how it's supposed to be. President is supposed to be neutral in anything you want to double, anything you want to do, it should be neutral. Because it's number 4 citizen of this nation, as we are speaking. And about that kind of state election, they should allow NNPP to rule. They are saying the ballot, some ballots don't have stamp. And then where they do election, agents of KTC are there. People is there, NNPP is there, everybody agree. Why that will become a problem now? Why?
All right.
Like, if you look at it, you know that some people that have interest in it.
Yes, I do.
It's not just that you don't want to open up. We should not lie to ourselves.
Okay, Saidu, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, I think we can follow his digression to River State. The issues, I think we discussed River State last week. The issues about River State, to me, are largely bordering around the capacity of defection, the constitutionality of the defecting members, and the impeachment plot, and the issues of 4 members sitting as the House of Assembly.
Presentation of budget.
Yes, not necessarily who the FCT minister is and his influence on the people that are on ground, because these are being, I would think, that are free moral agents. They can choose how to act and react to events that they feel bother on the administration of the state. So having considered that the mention of the president should not be a major thing, because if the president comes to my state and decides to broker peace as it is
why
done,
should it not be a major thing?
It shouldn't be.
Really?
It shouldn't be, because the president only has recommending rights. The president already is not of the political party of the state. The state is governed by PDP. So whereas he came in, had a meeting with all political parties in the interest of maintaining peace.
8-point, what do you call it, agreement, right?
It's not the president that gave them that. They generated that amongst themselves. What do you want? I want this. What do you want? I want this. And they synchronized it to be 8. And the president probably said, in the interest of peace, please adopt it and let's move on.
Well, I don't think it was necessary for the president to be in the middle of whatever was happening.
But people called for the president to intervene.
No.
Now, are you aware that oil pipelines of the River State are more important to this country than a whole lot of things?
The House of Assembly in River State divided into 2 different factions. At that point, what should have happened? The National Assembly should have waded into that matter, not the president.
Well, the president is not wading in legally. It's a backdoor meeting. These are things that were done off camera. It just came out. There's no legality about what he did. And there is no illegality about what he did. There's only a negotiation, a discussion.
It shouldn't be.
People that are not in government, former military officers, have equally waded in to make their own voices heard. What is causing the fight is illegality. Hello, please. sorry, we are not hearing you. Can you come back with us, please? The network, they allow us hear you. Hello. Okay, sorry we didn't have that call coming on time. We just said the concluding part of it. And at the studio, it might be clear out there. But at the studio, we didn't have it. So please, if you call and you prompt to know if we've heard you, so you can proceed. Thank you very much. I would like if the last caller would call back. All right. So, like I said, the intervention of the president had no force of law. Has no force of law. It just has palliative moves.
I think they should have gone the right way. The National Assembly should have waded into that
That's
matter.
if they wanted
and
to take it
the president
legally.
doesn't have a business in what was happening.
I'm not sure he said he did.
So why was he in the middle of
He didn't want
those
a
two
part of
parties?
his state is governing to have
But
issues.
my question is, those 27 defected APC members, what happens when they come back? Are they coming back as PDP members?
Hello. Yes, welcome to Legally Speaking.
I'm Sis Saidu from Bida in Niger State.
Okay, Saidu, yes.
Please don't say I'm disturbing you guys. What I lacking something that I like. You guys, you refuse to dabble into such matters. I don't like it.
Which one is that?
I want us to educate ourselves. I talk about River State and Kano State in particular.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you. Like you said, the matter in Kano State is sub judice. It's still pending before a court. And we have made a conclusion that it is a fact that are before the court, that the court will use in deciding. It is not whether we are happy about who should be governor or who shouldn't be. But the law will take its course from what is placed before the court.
What I'm just want to say, I'm not in PDP and I'm not in APC, but as a concerned citizen, if things are going like this, as a concerned citizen, we have to speak out.
Yes, we know.
Hello?
We agree with you. It is necessary that you speak out.
I said about that kind of thing, they are talking based on two things. One, they say some ballot papers have not been stamped by INEC. And second one, they are saying that the incumbent governor is not a registered member of that NNPP. And then even Obi and Tinubu, they have that kind of issues before. Supreme Court decided that issue of a political party, they should leave it hand of those political parties. Nobody should dabble into their affair. So what I want Supreme Court to do, they should help that man. They should allow him to be their sworn. They should not cheat him. We don't want that thing to happen. Because if something happens, there must be chaos, or there will be some little issues in Kano State, the way we are thinking. Because they are cheating.
All right, Saidu. Well, Saidu, when you are looking at matters before the court will do justice, like he says, even if heaven will fall, even if cattle will boil, because the decisions of the court must be based on the evidence before it, and not based on the way people are going to appreciate the judgment. So we leave that part to the court. However the court will decide, that will be the decision of the court. There are times we have very good performing governors or politicians, but they don't end up as politicians, as saving candidates. Some will be the popular ones, but in the end, the court would say they didn't qualify. So you ask yourself, this issue about his qualification of his being a political party, a proper party man before contesting an election, or the void or cancel unmarked votes, if I was the court, would I take that as a grounds for saying he did not win the election? If the evidence has been brought to me as a judge that some of the votes that were counted for him were not duly stamped as required by INEC rules, and those votes should be disqualified. And where those votes are disqualified, it doesn't have the majority of votes cast. Would I sit back as a judge and say, because he has done a good work in the state, the court should rule against that vote? Well, Etini, you are not a judge right now. Then what would you imagine if you were a judge, barring the sentiment of the citizens there?
The court does not thrive on sentiment. It thrives on what is before it. And whatever is not before it, the court cannot rule on it. That's the Father Christmas thing that we've talked about earlier. So
yeah, because if the earlier courts had said, we have seen that some votes were not properly and proper before INEC. INEC, why did you count this vote? Exclude it. And after the exclusion of those votes, it falls down to the fact that the person did not win the election. I don't see what the court will do otherwise. The Supreme Court cannot upturn that position ordinarily if it is said to be true, unless there's a technical reason why the Supreme Court would have to upturn the decision of the Court of Appeal. Beyond that, I don't see why it will be upturned. You know, sometimes we say it's because the ruling party at the national wants a particular state. And we forget that the ruling party at the national is also losing some states through the same process. So why would you not consolidate on the ones you have and pick up the ones? Why would you drop new ones and still lose old ones, you know? So I hope my friend Saidu will be a bit satisfied now. Okay? All right, so part of the things we could consider too after, beyond just politics, there are lots of things that happened in between the period. I think we had also discussed issues of landlord tenancies. And we saw that the tenants are not as strong as they appear, because one would say the tenants are stronger. So the numbers to call in case you're still trying to call in is 081-762-48565. I repeat that number. If you notice, we've changed that number because we're having issues with that line. So you can call 081-762-48565. You can also call us on 070-454-17707. So you can call us on any of those two numbers and let's have a conversation of what you enjoyed during the year. Okay? Try and make it legal anyway, because a lot of us want to talk politics, but these policies must be situated in law. So the landlord, like we discussed about the other time. Hello? Hello? So, over time you discover that landlords appear to be weakening in strength. The tenants hold a sway. You know, they move from one house to the other with leaving a trail of unpaid rents. They come to your house, pay for 1 year, stay for 3, pack their things and move to another house, pay for 1, stay for 3. Hello. Welcome to Legally Speaking. Good evening.
Yeah. I'm Mr. Kane calling from Akwa Ibom.
Mr. Kane from Akwa Ibom. Go on, sir. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. On the issue of Wike, I was born to hear agreement is agreement. What agreement did Fubara make with Wike before he was supported to become the governor? I think we should go back to the drawing board and fulfill the terms of the agreement. On the governor of Kaduna, Obadakan, I think that the law should be allowed to take its course. Judgments are not given based on sentiment. The people might like a governor, but the way the governor comes into office was not legal. So the law should take its course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kadem. Well, I think he said exactly our thoughts. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. Okay? The earlier comment on Port River State. Well, yeah, an agreement is an agreement. Unfortunately, some agreements are not legal agreements. So if you have an illegal agreement, we will not support you to to enforce it, right? Because that can't be to the detriment of the people. So that's it. Anyway, the numbers to call, I repeat again, are 081 762 48565. I repeat that number, 081 762 48565. The other number is 070 454 17707. We want to have feedback from you. We want to have you call in. We want to have you discuss what we did the year. If we did well, we didn't do well, they're all part of what the conversation should be. Hello.
Daniel, calling from Uyo.
Daniel is calling from Uyo.
Yes, I want to comment a bit on what you said earlier when you were trying to review the activities of the year.
Okay.
And you mentioned the election petition. That touched it, thinking by heart. I know that also millions of Nigerians we are also emotional about it. Particularly how the Supreme Court and maybe the Appeal Court in extension ruled on the presidential election case. When it came to the case of 25% in FCT, the court, in all its wisdom, said, okay, let's look at the spirit of the Constitution, not the written words now, because written words said clearly what they wanted, what should be done, what and meant. But the court, in its wisdom, said, okay, no, let's look at the spirit. The spirit means that, okay, FCT residents are not special. They don't have veto power. Okay, fine. We accepted it. Although painfully. Now, they now went on to the gross case, the official case. Why didn't they now look at the spirit of the law in that case? They will now read the fine letters of the law. Say, no, this is a pre-election, a pre-matter, whatever it is that. No. The spirit of the law in that case says that this person has drug issues, drug allegations case, and our president cannot come with such a baggage. That should be the spirit. So why are they not consistent in the way they are able to judge each of the cases? That's what I don't notice.
Daniel, I think you got it wrong. You got it wrong with the issue of spirit and letters. Right? Even the Bible says that the letters kill, and it's the spirit that makes perfect. What they meant by the spirit was, what did the writers of the Constitution intend? Their intentment, they did not intend to make FCT citizens, super citizens, so that everybody will have to lobby them to vote. No, they are just like every other person. They have one vote, and that one vote does not multiply itself to 25 or 35%. So that's what they meant. If you're talking about the issue of crime, drug, the issue of crime is a fact that must be proved beyond reasonable doubt. It's not enough to go and harvest a judgment online and stamp certified true copy without registering that judgment. Judgments of court of foreign jurisdiction need to be registered in Nigeria before they are tendered in court. So when you bring a judgment that is not registered and just stamp CTC, it's not enough. All right? I think you will understand that part. Hello, this is Legally Speaking. Hello. Yes. Good evening. Oh, it's Father Christmas we are doing right now. So please, thanks for calling in, right? Thank you very much. Yes, like I said, I guess Daniel...
Okay. One other issue on the certificate. No, not certificate. The criminal...
Yeah, that's the criminal aspect, I say.
Yes, he has forgotten that if at all the judgment was registered, there's an issue of statute bar. Yes, if it's statute bar or not.
Like I said, it amounted to amending their petition.
Yes.
Their petition ought to have been filed 21 days after the election. And when you filed it, it did not bring this part of the petition.
Yes.
Later on, while the case was ongoing, you now harvested some judgments and brought it to court and asked the court to amend it by adding it. And election petition matters are not to be amended. You file them as they come. You were aware of this situation before the election. Probably you would have gone to pre-election matters, you would have brought it under the pre-election issues, and not to bring in post-election and say he wasn't qualified for it. So, Daniel, there are laws, and these laws, especially the rules of courts when it has to do with election petition, are followed strictly. Strictly. You don't attach emotions to them. You don't say he's come along with a lot of baggage. How do you know they were baggages? These are things that happened before his governorship election, before his senatorial election. So it means it was in a public domain. There's no point bringing it at this late hour and expecting the court to dance to it. That's what we saw. Hello. This is Legally Speaking. The numbers to call is 081-762-48565. The alternative number to call will be 070-454-17707. It's a Christmas edition of the program, and we are looking at a whole lot of issues. In fact, we have Father Christmas today. So if you have questions you want to ask, you will ask and we'll answer them. If you have issues that run across the year and you want to bring it to the fore, very interesting, we will attend to them. The ones that have been mentioned are topical issues the reviewers felt we should discuss. Edidion from Yanimu, go on, sir.
On the issue of Rivers State, I'm not a member of any political party, but I would ask some of my father they should ask Obara whether they do any agreement with Governor Wike, because I cannot see the reason they continue practicing Rivers State. If they have any disagreement or any agreement, I think they should also blame Obara. Instead of that, we should continue to say, Governor, when you finish your own tenure, don't say this one is my successor, he will do better than me. Otherwise, if we continue like this godfatherism will still continue. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Edidio. Well, Edidio is right. Edidio is right. Well, you see, the Nigerian brand of politics is such that people look at the progenitors. For instance, now everybody has intervened in the case of in Rivers State case. But people are now looking at the president, Tinubu, as a major intervener and criticizing it. No. Like every other person that has intervened.
Can you mention the every other person?
Odile has intervened. That's a prominent politician.
He's a neutral person. The president is supposed to be very neutral in things like this.
The president is neutral. The president is maintaining peace. You know what he did? He brought in the chairman of PDP in the state, brought in the chairman of APC in the state, and brought in and criticized Fubara for pulling down a democratic structure, the House of Assembly. It is unthinkable for you to bring down the symbol of democracy. This man cannot contest election. Right now, the Supreme Court has decided against Donald Trump because of that singular act of defacing democracy. The symbol of democracy is not the people inside that you don't like. It's the House of Assembly that stands from time and generations to come. You bomb the National Assembly, the Federal House of Assembly, or State House of Assembly, you pull it down. What are we talking about? That is no longer child's play. It has gone beyond Wike Fubara. It's now democracy that you are hurting. So it's good that people are criticizing either of them, but we must also know that there are certain lines we must not cross in politicking. There are certain lines we must not cross in politicking, regardless of your status. The governor, the president, the vice president, the House of Assembly members, you shouldn't cross some lines. When you cross those lines, you don't have any justification. Because the fights between Wike and Fubara are purely personal fights. There's no business to do with law, equity, and good governance.
I still maintain that the president had no business there.
Oh, that is it. So, we did conclude on the tenancy matters. There are lots. We discussed divorce. We discussed child welfare. I recall we had discussed flogging in school as to whether or not corporal punishment was the best way to go or legal way to go. There are several things we discussed on Legally Speaking in the year 2023, which has really been of benefits to a lot of listeners out there. And I think we can proudly say we have tried our best to educate and enlighten the listeners with the aspect of laws, that each aspect of law we touched. We tried as much as possible not to be very legalistic. So because we're looking at the ordinary public who are not lawyers. So what we do in Legally Speaking is we try to bring the law to the understanding of every general person who might not have an opportunity to go to law school or be in the law faculty. So when you listen to law and it's a bit confusing and you ask us, what does it mean? We try to come down to that level to say this is what it is, without having to cite authorities that lawyers do in court, right? So I think we should round up for now. Yeah. Can you give a Christmas present to the listening and watching audience in University?
It's been a wonderful year. It's been a wonderful year. We've talked about so many things. We've educated and learned about so many things. But all I want to say is that it's a festive period. Yes, during the celebrations, we should be careful and then we should stay safe.
Well, I don't know about staying safe. I just know about staying legal. And I believe that we still have one more edition of Legally Speaking. God willing, we'll conclude the year by next week, Friday. So whatever you do, just remember, you have to stay legal and watch Legally Speaking on Friday next week. That's the size of Legally Speaking today. Have a Merry Christmas and be sure you celebrate it legally.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every Friday.